Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Today I have not one, but two packages, and while we will get into that one in later videos, this is a pretty exciting one that's also outing me to the camera. I don't know if the angle is correct, but hi chat, you can kind of see me in the reflection of this thing. This right here, I believe to be a Balisong that has been almost completely overlooked in our English side of the hobby. And me just saying that has probably alerted you to what this is, if the thumbnail and the title somehow didn't. This is the Nabalis. Probably should have opened this before I started this, but the Nabalis Cat. Now, this is a Balisong that, like I mentioned, I think has been vastly overlooked by the English side of the hobby. If you go on YouTube and you look up Nabalis Cat, all I was able to find was a video on it by the channel by the name of Flippin' the Loon, and then radio silence. It just put a bunch of Blade Bias videos about other Nabalis products, or Will Hirsch videos, or anything about other Nabalis products. In fact, since this thing released, I have been inundated with people asking me to check it out and make a video on it. And while I initially wasn't that interested in it, with the acquisition of my recent job that I went over in my return video, I was finally able to actually make a purchase. And surprisingly, that came in stock while I was streaming my return stream on my main channel. The link to my main channel is in the description. They just randomly came back in stock. So I decided to order one and make a video on it, since it seems like there is genuinely a hole in the coverage of this thing over on our side. Now, I keep alluding to the English side of the hobby because the Cat is made as a collaboration product, similar to how the Wave is the collaboration with Artsy, or the Vulp is the collaboration with Will. This is a collaboration between Nabalis and a South Korean YouTuber by the name of Seongbae. I think I'm pronouncing that correct, but I'm also probably butchering it, and I apologize if that's the case. Now, if you're like me and you don't know who Seongbae is, he is a South Korean YouTuber with over 100,000 subscribers. And being a Balisong focused channel, that really floored me when I first started to do my research on this Balisong. Because holy cow, I didn't realize that Balisongs were that big overseas. I knew they were big overseas, but I didn't know they were, bigger than most of the YouTubers who are currently active in our hobby overseas. So that's pretty crazy. And Seongbae's story is one that is also super, super fascinating. He has an intense focus, especially in the release of the Cat, on making a Balisong that is super public friendly and something that isn't going to scare someone off. Because, and I kid you not, there's a whole video on this linked on the Nabalis page, or you can find it on YouTube, about the process that he went through with the different design iterations and what the goal of the project was and why they chose a cat. And it's a fascinating watch. If I remember, I will put a link to that video in the description. But he went on a TV show in South Korea to try and destigmatize Balisongs, and specifically chose a bunch of non-threatening ones to flip on the show. But in doing that, he realized the need for a public-friendly flipper like the Cat, and that is where the Cat was born. And that is just such a fascinating story to me. So again, if you're interested in knowing any of the details about this thing, I will do my best, but you can also just go on the Nabalis page for this thing. It's a video right by the description that you can just click on the actual sales page and watch that for yourself. It's a fascinating watch. I actually haven't finished it at the time that I'm recording this video because I plan on going into it a lot more in the follow-up video, but I think I've yapped long enough. This is a fascinating Balisong with a fascinating story that I think has been passed up far too often. So without further ado, here is the Nabalis Cat. This is actually, all that story, I didn't even get into the specs. This is a 7075 aluminum Balisong. I have the purple one, so this specific one is Teflon coated. If you have the silver or the black one, it will be normally anodized. Its channel, it weighs 3.93 ounces, and I guess 3.81 ounces if you take out these screws at the bottom here. I think that covers it. Let's check out the Nabalis Cat. Now, To say that interesting, that I completely passed over this release would be an understatement. I had a bunch of people messaging me and saying, oh, hey, are you going to check out this Balisong? Are you going to check out this Balisong? And my answer was no, I didn't have any plans. Nabalis didn't contact me to send me one. And I was positive that other people would check it out. I mean, the Crescent, also a recent release from Nabalis, has been covered by, I feel like, everyone under the sun. Comes up in my recommendations and I see a review. And it is just, it's constant. And that's not a bad thing. I think that's actually really awesome. But with this, the fact that literally no one, I actually shouldn't say literally no one, but the fact that so few people covered it, I decided, okay, there's an obvious hole that's being left here. I'll check it out. And I'm actually interested in checking it out. Upon my recent return to Balisongs, my number one Balisong of choice has actually been the cheese. This has been my number one flipper for when I've been flipping in my off time. And the cat, I think that just made me more interested in the cat, because the cat's very similar. I mean, you have a intended to be public friendly flipper that is Teflon coated in some way. And I don't know. It seems interesting. So I picked one up. As far as how I've been enjoying flipping it just now, it is very, very oily. They oiled this thing up to the max. It also shipped really fast. I ordered this thing. I mean, I'm recording this on February 2nd. My return stream was like January 26th or something like that. You can check my actual channel for that. And here it is on my doorstep. So that's pretty cool. It flips very well. I'm having a few issues with it. I'm not going to immediately blame it on the cat, just because I have been flipping the cheese so much lately. Anything else that is slightly different than that might feel off in some way. But it feels nice. It's got definitely a tiny bit of handle bias to it at first flip. And again, as always, these are my first impressions. These are most likely going to change. So come back to the follow-up video that'll go live, I don't know, maybe a week and a half or 2 weeks from now, where I talk about this thing after I've spent a good amount of time with it. But one thing I can tell you right now is that the public-friendly nature of it, which is interesting to me because they still went with a more curved blade. One thing that I talked about with the cheese when it first came out is, despite how brightly colored it is, when a Balisong is moving this fast, it can still be construed as something dangerous by someone who doesn't know what they're looking at. So to call it inherently public friendly is, I mean, to call any Balisong inherently public friendly just isn't true, because most people of the public don't know what they're looking at. So that's why I was kind of interested to see that they went with a black blade that still has a typical blade shape. Like, this is still a fairly normal blade shape. Granted, it is very round at the top, but it is cute. I haven't even talked about the design at all. I adore the paw, the little toes above the screw down here that make it look like a paw. And then you've got scratch marks going down the entire handle with this kind of accent scratch diagonal right here. It's a really well themed Balisong, and this jimping, just from what this is excellent jimping. With so many companies coming out lately, specifically LDY with the Orion V2, that just has jimping that doesn't look very good, and certainly doesn't look like an upgrade from the 1.5. It's nice to see a Balisong that comes out that actually has decent jimping, and I would say that's actually one of my more favorite parts of the flipping experience right now. This is overall a very comfortable flipper. The Teflon coating definitely helps with grip, and the balance is maybe slightly more neutral than something like the cheese would be, but it also feels like it carries less momentum overall, which is interesting because it has screws in the bottom of the handle. But I guess that kind of comes down to the fact that the handles look exactly the same, despite the fact they feel thinner. I don't know if they actually are. That's something that I'll have to compare before my follow-up video if I remember. But they feel thinner than the cheese does. Otherwise, I'm enjoying everything that this Balisong is doing so far. Rollovers feel really, really good. They stick to my hand in a really satisfying way. Fans and choker fans, maybe while feeling like they're missing the slightest bit of momentum, still carry through the entire trick very, very well. Overall, I actually really like it so far. So I think that this is going to be yet another slam dunk budget Balisong pick from Nabalis. It remains to be seen how often these come in stock. This has been out of stock more often than not. I believe this is one of the first restocks that they've done since they released it. And as I'm recording this, they've already sold out. So if you're looking to buy a cat, keep an eye out. They kind of randomly go in stock. Like I said, I was randomly streaming. I went on Nabalis' website for a different reason and then saw that they were in stock and decided to pick one up. I like it so far. I think it's cool, and I think it's an absolute shame that this got passed over by so many English-speaking YouTubers or even just members of the hobby, because I haven't seen a lot of talk about this other than the people in my comment section who have wanted me to check it out. So that is my very long-winded first impression of the cat. There will be a follow-up video as usual. Please come check that out when it is uploaded. I will give you my detailed thoughts on flipping and everything else from design to the overall mission statement of the creator. But it's super cool. It's super cool that Nabalis has even more YouTubers that they are collaborating with. And super cool to discover a side of Balisong YouTube that I was barely even aware existed. 100,000 subscribers. I was genuinely shocked when I first saw that. So this was not sent to me for free by Nabalis. This was purchased by my own money, so I don't have to give that disclaimer. I hope you all have enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one. Later.